Welcome to the Week on LinkedIn, where we discuss 3 LinkedIn posts that we've seen on LinkedIn this week. They could make us feel something like happiness, or sadness, or anger, could be horniness, but we dissect them and talk about it for your viewing pleasure. Anyway, this week we're starting with Mr. Jay Cannan, Paul Denan's cousin. Really weird intro back, go on, sorry.
That was weird, yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah. This is an interesting post from a guy about AI and about how people are talking about how they've replaced their entire workflow with AI and all their processes with AI, and basically just bashing them and saying, well, look, actually, if everything is done by AI, you're probably not doing that good a job in the first place. I think the biggest point he makes is that if you are trying to replace the real assessment piece, the real heart piece of recruitment with AI, then something's gone wrong. You know, if your AI is making judgments on human beings, then something has gone wrong somewhere.
It's obviously a really hot topic at the moment, and I think something which a lot of people don't really consider. And I think, from a client side, the efficiencies that AI can bring is, obviously quite good. However, from a candidate and hiring perspective, that is your first impression of a business. Mm-hmm. If your first impression of a business is, I'm talking to a robot, I'm talking to Claude or whoever or whatever, I personally don't think that you're not capitalising on the opportunity to build a rapport. So get someone invested in your brand, to get someone loyal, to get that relationship starting well. You're just basically saying, look, we want to process you as quickly as possible, get you into the building, and then we'll worry about that later. I just think that's a bit shit from a candidate experience perspective.
Yeah, it completely ruins the relationship side of recruitment, which is what we do best, really. It's where we can actually add value.
Yeah. Danny B?
Yeah, agree. AI is great, really, really useful for loads of things. My mate yesterday put a picture of our other mate into Gemini and said, can you show me what the best haircut would look like for me? Right?
It's
great.
I thought that's
wicked for that. But from a work perspective, it shouldn't be screening candidates, it shouldn't be rejecting people, it should always be a human touch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And what I quite like about some of the AI that we use internally is you can just go talk to human and just go straight to an actual person.
Yeah.
There should be that function within all of it.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion anyway.
I think just because you can use AI for stuff doesn't mean you should use AI for stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think, yes, you can utilise it in some really useful ways in recruitment. However, anything which requires a human decision, human interaction, should be done by a human and not by
Agreed. Yeah.
AI.
There is also some EU regulation that's not quite ratified in UK law yet that suggests you cannot make a decision on a candidate through AI. And at the moment, and there's that big, I can't think of the name of the ATS that's going through a big lawsuit in the States over this sort of thing. And there's also a lot of companies that are sort of skirting around this a bit by saying, well, the AI is just suggesting the 5 candidates that I should probably speak to first, but then they're automatically rejecting the others without actually looking at them. So really the AI is making that decision, even though technically there's a human touch that's gone in there. So there is that problem. And yeah, from a candidate point of view, like you were saying about the candidate experience, I've seen people that have gone on to what they think is a first stage video interview with a hiring manager, and it's literally an AI avatar or a person that's talking to them and asking them questions. Yeah. I wouldn't, there's nothing I'd turn off quicker than horrendous.
I would literally get fucked.
Just not worth your time. You don't even explain it to them. Just I'm just out.
It's offensive. It's we can't even be bothered to talk to you. We've got
There's no respect for other people's time in there, is there?
No, it's not. There really isn't. I think we're on the same page as that. Just because you can use our AI for stuff doesn't mean you should, and doesn't mean it's going to make a process better. Because demonstrably, it doesn't. Because great people get rejected because AI, as sophisticated as it is, doesn't understand nuances and really doesn't understand emotion. So, fuck you, Bill Gates. That's
At least go Sam Altman or someone that's actually involved in.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's fuck you, tech nerds. Danny B.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your post this week.
So, my post, it's from Chris, and he just makes a good point. Where are LinkedIn getting this from? They're saying you're 24% less likely to re-advertise the same job if you advertise it the first time around via LinkedIn. Go on. Like, where's that coming from?
Can either of you explain to me what they mean by that?
No.
24% less likely because you hated the experience so much and you don't want to do it again.
Because it cost you too much and now you're doing it from another means? Because that person actually stayed and you don't need to rehire that same
That's
person?
what they're hoping for, really, isn't it? That's the metric they want to get across. Is that people are fired. But I don't understand why it's 24% less likely then.
But then does that mean 74% did have to re-advertise?
Yeah.
76.
76?
That's maths.
That's a good math. The 2% is an anomaly. What does it mean? It's like they've just got that stat and said, that sounds alright, doesn't it?
But then who's going, that's wicked, I'm going to put my job advert through LinkedIn then?
Yeah, 24% is not that great, really, is
No.
it? Even if it is the positive
It's
side.
a quarter, isn't it, give or take? But
That's maths.
what? So, it's left me baffled, and I think the guy who posted it is saying exactly the same thing. Like, they can make up what they want, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, where's it even coming from?
Yeah, I'd like some context on the data. LinkedIn, please.
And this could be a criticism of LinkedIn or like a cautionary tale, but LinkedIn is actually incredibly powerful in so many different ways. And like us as recruiters, we're so reliant on LinkedIn as a platform. Like you can't really like build an empire on rented land, because if I'm putting all my eggs in the LinkedIn basket and they ban me next week, I am legitimately fucked. Like that is when I do go work with Stevie in the butchers. I just fucking do that, because I wouldn't be able to source candidates, wouldn't be able to market, wouldn't be able to do BD. It would really be detrimental to my job and life.
And they know the barrel they've got us over.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's annoying because there are workarounds, they're just not anywhere near as good.
No.
Like,
No. It's I think LinkedIn has got such a monopoly on the networking, like the business social networking thing. And the thing I love about LinkedIn, and I think I think other social networks should do this, is you can't pretend to be someone else. You can't hide behind an anonymous avatar. You are yourself. You're accountable for what you say. Because how many times have you seen like seedy men send dick pics to women, sometimes men, and be called out for it and be fired because their employers are, hold on a minute, mate, you're listed as working for me and you're going around sending your little todger to Susan from accounts. It's disgusting. So I think that I like that side of it, but I just think the fact that they do have us over a barrel. They can make statistics like that up, and really you can't really question it too much.
yeah, they are.
We're shouting into the void, aren't we, really?
Yeah,
They are dicks, aren't they?
Yeah, can't wait to post this on LinkedIn later. And
Dick,
yeah, great. Yeah.
So that's my post for the week. Nice and simple.
And most people seem to agree with him in the comments.
Good.
The only disagreement I saw was the one that was angry at him for misspelling Gandhi's surname, which I think is a fair mistake, really.
For whose surname?
Mahatma Gandhi.
I thought it said Gandhi.
Gandhi.
Like David Gandhi, the
Gandhi.
model.
No, not that one. No, someone was ripping him apart for misspelling the surname.
That is pretty outrageous.
Terrible.
Moving on to my post of the week. It's done by your man from Interview. It's around why modern agencies, what they were built on, the success which they were built on. And I think this is one of the best posts I've seen on LinkedIn in a while. Ironically, it was from 3 weeks ago, but I only saw it this morning. He's completely right. You learn so much by sitting around experienced consultants and absorbing, usually subconsciously, how to be a good recruiter. Which I suppose partly explains why you two are so shit, because you've been sat with me. But
It makes a lot of sense.
But
Yeah, I'm
actually,
actually getting worse.
yeah, it's deteriorating. He's given money away now, quite literally. But I think we used to call it osmotic learning, and which is why it's so important in your, I'd say, first 3 years of recruitment to be in the office and be in and around experienced consultants. Not shit consultants who are gonna, teach you bad habits, but good experienced consultants, high performing environments. What do you boys think?
100%.
100%.
Jinx! Sorry, go on. Oh, just silence.
No, I'm 100% in agreement with this. I think if you're a rookie coming into recruitment and you want to go straight into hybrid working, it just isn't going to work. It's just not. You're not going to learn. Like it's being able to ask questions, hearing the questions that other people are asking, hearing the answers that other people are giving them, and you being able to go, oh, can you tell me more about that? Like probably not in that way. That seems a bit weird, but like just learning. Like you say, just
Plus, I think
being there.
It's people overhearing you in the office and being able to say, "Oh, you know that thing you said, that was great. Keep doing that."
Yeah.
Or actually, you could have maybe said this, and that might have helped the call a bit.
Yeah.
You just don't get any of that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like being on an IT help desk, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't know all of the questions, the queries, the problems people are going to have. You hear other people answering it, and you kind of just naturally take it in. And the next time that happens, you can kind of give that answer yourself. If you're working on your own at home, you'd only ever deal with the problems that come to you.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. Like collectively, your team has so much knowledge, and you can't tap into that if you're working from home. And
a Teams call is so intentional, isn't it? You've got to have a particular question. You can't just sort of muse something out loud. Oh, I wonder if I can do this, and somebody can say. Somebody can overhear you and say, "Oh yeah,
actually you can do this."
You can. You know.
Oh yeah, well that's not quite right, mate. Maybe next time say it like this.
Yeah.
Like,
instead you've got to call somebody and go, "Oh, do you know? No. Oh, Dave might know. I'll call Dave. Oh, Dave doesn't know." You know, instead just shout it out in the office and hope for the best.
When I worked at Wallace Hind, like the demographic of people there was all really experienced recruiters. Like everybody was like, you know, really tons of years of experience, and the amount I learned, not just from listening, but by anecdotal coaching, by someone saying, do you know what, you can word that slightly better, you can phrase that question in a different way, or just saying, guys, what do I do in this scenario? Like I upskilled myself 1,000,000% I was working there.
Do you remember when we were over in the Kingham office?
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Minnie, but I would say that. I kind of said to a client, tell me about your company as if I was like 5 years old, like explain it to me. And then someone else goes, that's fucking wicked, I'm going to use that.
I think it was Dom,
Yeah,
I remember that. Explain your company to me like I'm 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly those little anecdotal things which you pick up over a period of time, goes into your armoury of being a good recruiter, and makes you, well, it turns you from good or competent to good and good to great.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we see it all the time. People with maybe 6 to 12 months experience, and you know,
Can I go remote?
my key focus is working remotely, and you know that if you're a professional or career recruiter, that fundamentally will be detrimental to your long-term progression.
Yeah. I had a candidate the other day. There was just under 2 years in recruitment, and he was like, "I've left because I don't get enough time at home. Like I'm only looking for remote work." And I sent him 2 or 3 different options, and he left me on red for a few days. And then he came back going, "Remind me which ones of these are fully remote?" And I was like, it's not going to work, mate. Like, you can't work like that.
It's funny how quickly the expectations change as well. So my first ever recruitment job was at Hayes, and we were doing 8:30 till 6 in the office, 5 days a week. There was no question of it. There was no, I worked on a desktop every day. Like there was no even possibility of working from home. You know, if you were off sick, you were off sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were just always in the office. So
I think that's probably a part of the reason why, you know, a lot of agencies' revenue's gone down, because there is now this expectation to have a hybrid approach. Don't get me wrong.
Must be so hard to bring new people into the industry and get them to a good level at the moment. Yeah.
I would always recommend to anyone's first job in recruitment, be in the office 5 days a week, do that for a year or two, you know, and
I think anyone hiring a brand new junior recruiter and letting them be fully remote is like
madness.
How are you doing?
Money down the drain, really.
And I think the other end of the scale, someone, even an experienced person, should probably be in the office more often than not in the first month or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3 months. And kind of, I'm not saying 5 days a week maybe, but like 3 plus, you know, 3 or 4 maybe, kind of getting the culture, like learning about the team, all those sort of things, because there's only so much you can learn from WhatsApp groups and Teams calls and stuff like that. So
the other side of this, of course, as well, is if we're saying the junior people need to be in the office, it's no good if the junior people are in the office, but the other junior people, the senior people need to be there as well, because otherwise they're just not bringing that next generation through.
But conversely, there are people who will work very well remotely and independently.
Sure, but then, and while they'll work well for themselves, they're not then. Other people aren't benefiting from their knowledge.
Yeah, it's true.
it's also those companies that have set days in the office. Like if it's a hybrid setup and it's 3 days from home, 3 days in the office, 2 from home, it's those companies that